The podcast you are about to listen to is an account of the movies which befell a group of horror fans, in particular, Tara Garwood and her intrepid friend, Matt Lolich. Had they lived very, very long lives, they could not have expected, although they would have wished, to see as much of the mad and macabre as we're to see in those movies. For them, an idyllic summer movie became a nightmare, and they loved it. The movies that they watched were to lead to the creation of one of the most terrifying podcasts in the annals of American history. The Scary Movie Project.
Hey, this is the Scary Movie Project, the podcast where we talk about, what else? Scary movies. And bring you the spoileriest spoilers of all time.
All time, wow.
I'm Tara.
And the driver's license says Matthew, but they call me Matt. And a determined young woman and a damaged occultist, wow, risk their lives and souls to perform a dangerous ritual that will grant them what they want. In the 2016 film, A Dark Song. That is our movie of choice for today.
Yes.
So, that was like a super dramatic way of getting into that. I'm sorry, but it just felt right.
I am so excited to talk about this movie. So excited. Okay.
Are you like Jesse Spano? I'm so excited from Saved by the Bell?
I am actually, I'm a little bit more, I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it.
I would have preferred the Jesse Spano, but that's okay. That's all right.
We can do that too. We can do that too.
It's okay.
So shall we just dive right in? Because I'm raring to go.
It's what we do. Let's do it.
All right, let's go. So
give the people what they want.
So writer-director Liam Gavin.
Now,
is
clearly,
the creator of this movie.
With a name like that, he's obviously English, of course, I would assume.
Or possibly Irish.
Okay.
It's filmed in Ireland, which we'll get to in a moment.
He lives.
A lot of it is.
He lives in the United Kingdom. That should cover.
Yes, in the UK somewhere.
Yes, that should cover everything there. Yes.
And the film was made with the Irish and Wales Film Commissions.
Okay.
So it is definitely a UK project all the way.
Yep, and it just looks like it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels very.
It's hard to explain that, but if you see it, you know. I think you know
European,
what I'm talking about. Yes.
Not even British, UK. Yeah.
You know what? I wouldn't. Well, I was gonna say European. Of course, the EU. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, they're no longer in the EU. No longer in the EU, so I guess they're not European.
Right. So it's European. But I would say that I feel like there's a difference between actually the continent of Europe with its films and like a UK British film. So anyway.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like a UK piece of work.
Yes, this is.
Very much. So it opens with the quote, "For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways." Psalm 91.
I thought for a second you were going to say the quote was "For he's a jolly good fellow," and I was going
"For he's a jolly good fellow." Which none of us
can deny. Yes. Sorry.
Which none of us can deny.
That's right.
Which none of us can deny.
Yeah, great. It's a great song.
It's a very good song. But that's not what this was. This was a song. This was not the song. This was a psalm.
A psalm, yes.
A psalm. Yes. Psalm 91. So yeah, he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. And then we are on barren fields, and a car drives through, and we meet Sophia, who is buying a house.
She sure is.
And she wants it immediately.
Yeah, she's definitely like, let's do this kind of
She's
thing.
on it. She's like, let's do this thing. She wants it immediately, and she pays in cash for privacy.
Now, did she ask if some part of the house faced west? Did she ask that?
She does ask about that. She asks which way one of the rooms faces.
I think that's interesting. I mean, she has a purpose for it, but I think it's cool for me personally just because I love sunsets, and I would love eventually when I buy a retirement home or whatever, I want a balcony or a backyard or a big area or somewhere I can just sit in a chair and look west at the sunset. So yes, awesome.
So
Love
you're
it.
going to ask that question.
Oh!
You're the guy who asked that question.
So when we
but
go to the
not for doing the purposes of a magical ritual.
Oh, well, I would like my house to be full of magical rituals. I mean, in addition to facing west, I want it to be as spiritual and evil as possible. But you know what? No, seriously though, like when we go to like the beach, my family, I always like want to check with the realtor or the people. Is there a balcony or a patio that faces west? Yes, I'm serious.
And you're not waking up early for that eastern sunrise.
Nope.
Nope. Not doing that.
We do sunsets, not sunrises. Yes.
So this house, by the way, and as you'll see as we go through this, the majority of the film takes place in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, the exterior is a mansion in the Irish countryside.
Mm.
And then the interior shots were all shot in a townhouse in Dublin, in the suburbs, of Dublin. So it is mostly shot in Ireland. If not all.
Living out there in a country manor, if you will, at night when the wind howls, would you probably hear the banshee at night?
The banshee? You might just hear the cry of the banshee.
I would have to think you might hear the banshee every night.
The banshee. Would you perhaps see a leprechaun?
Gold! Yeah,
Gold.
you might see Daniel O'Grady, as we spoke of before.
This is like getting really bad.
Yeah, it is. And it's mostly my fault, so I'll stop.
This is getting really bad. By the way, I am Irish, so I'm allowed to make fun of Ireland.
We all are.
We both are. We're allowed to make fun of it because we're Irish.
Everybody is. Get on board.
Yeah, get on board. Make fun of us with us.
Yeah.
So then we get the title, A Dark Song, and then we see Sophia picking up a man at the train station. His name is Joseph Solomon. She picks him up and they go to a diner so he can eat. Like, he's the only one eating. She's just like peppering him with questions and stuff. And they go to check out the house, and he asks her if she started purifying herself, which if you don't know what's going on yet in the movie, you're like,
which could mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, but
yeah. So she says she goes through the list, her diet, no alcohol,
no booze
no
for like
sex.
6 months. For like 6 months, right?
Yeah, no sex of any kind. Any kind.
I loved how he phrased that, of any kind.
Yeah, no sex of any kind.
Nothing.
She also tells him that she's Catholic, so that's like, I think
okay.
She does mention that she's Catholic. And he tells her, I've done this 3 times. Twice it worked, once it didn't.
Right.
And then he asks her why. Like, why does she want to do this? And she says, for love. I love someone, they don't love me anymore.
Right.
And he leaves. He just walks out the door. And then outside, he tells her he's not going to do it because the house isn't right. So she drives him back to the train station. And he says, this whole procedure to get love, it's like Titian decorating a cake. Like this famous artist to decorate a cake. So he's like basically saying it's not a good enough reason to do it. So at the train station, she admits that it's because her son died, and she just needs to hear his voice again. And she lied.
She's wrecked from it.
Yeah, and she lied because she thought it would be like too much, like too heavy.
And that's when he starts telling her, like, you can't bullshit me. Like, you can't. You cannot lie about stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't lie to me. Like, this has to be like predicated on the truth and honesty and stuff like that. And so he says to her, how much do you want it? She says, more than anything.
Isn't that a terrible song? How do you want it or something?
I don't know.
I'm thinking, who does? Sorry, just so random. Just
Any way you want it? Are you thinking of Any Way You Want It?
No.
No. Okay. That was a random jump off. But anyways.
It's okay.
So he comes back with her, and he's lecturing her on the procedure. He says, this is real stuff we're playing this with. Real angels, real demons. And then she says, I can't remember what she asks him, but he says, you've been looking shit up on the internet? This is Gnosticism.
Right.
Now, Gnosticism, just for those who aren't familiar with it, I got the definition from Merriam-Webster. It is
it's real.
So it's real. It is the thought and practice, especially of various cults of late pre-Christian and early Christian centuries, distinguished by the conviction that matter is evil and that emancipation comes through gnosis, or the esoteric knowledge of spiritual truth. So this was like in the early, so pre-Christian and early Christian, it's like literally in the 1000s and stuff. Like it's way back when.
A long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yes.
So that's what he's, the tradition he's working in. So they make a supply list. They start making a list of all the things they'll need to supply the house. He says it'll take 6 to 8 months.
Right.
So she's already been fasting and withholding sex and withholding alcohol and everything for 6 months.
Right.
Now the ritual itself is going to take 6 to 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her, once we start, there's no stopping. And then he reveals to her that he drinks a lot.
Yeah.
And he's basically going to need to get over the DTs before they can start the ritual.
Doesn't he put a bottle of vodka or a Jack Daniels or something with them when he's...
Yeah, he hides a bottle of whiskey or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just guessing it was whiskey because we're in Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
I was guessing it was whiskey.
Probably.
He puts it in one of the dresser drawers in his bedroom.
Right.
And she's looking at a photo of her son and one of his toys. She has a couple mementos from her son. So the next day, she goes out to the store to get all her supplies, and she's in the parking lot, and she gets fascinated almost by a crying kid. She's just stops and is staring. And she runs into her sister, Victoria, who sees her in the parking lot and asks if she's told the guy that she's been in a psychiatric hospital. So they go to get lunch or whatever, and she's like, "Have you told him you've been in a psychiatric hospital?"
You told him you're crazy? Or?
Yeah, have you told him this? Does he know? And Victoria thinks this whole thing's a really bad idea.
Oh, yeah.
But Sophia tells her, I'm going to do this right or wrong. You're going to stay away from me.
She's basically get out of my life. Leave me alone. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, leave me alone. I'm doing this shit.
Right.
So back at the house, Joseph asked her if she speaks French. And she answers that she does. So in French, she answers that she does. Then they do the same with German. But he can tell she's lying about German.
Oh,
and it's not a lie. It's a half-truth.
Is that when they're sitting there by the fire or whatever, that scene?
Yeah, I think so. And so, but it's not. She's like, well, it's a half-truth. And he's like, you can't do that with this.
Right.
Basically half-truths aren't going to cut it. It has to be the whole unvarnished truth, everything. So on the third day, she goes for a walk, and she randomly sees this dead dog outside the house. And she comes back, and Joseph is salting the whole perimeter of the house, all the way around this huge mansion.
Right. It's
a lot of salt. He's spilling salt and making an unbroken circle.
That's a lot of salt.
So when he's almost done, he tells her that once he completes the circle, nobody can leave for any reason.
Right. Emergencies, anything. You can't
Yeah,
leave.
he's like, nothing.
Right,
you
can't
cannot cross that line of salt.
Right.
Period. And I think he tells her at this point that if they do, they'll be stuck here.
Right.
I think he tells her that at this point. They'll be stuck in the house and they won't be able to fully get out. So the next morning, I guess it is, Sophia wakes Joseph up. She wakes up by Joseph throwing a bucket of water in her face. And when she gets downstairs, he throws a fit when she questions him as he's telling her about the ritual. And then he makes her eat a toadstool.
Weird stuff.
And and he's like, have you been listening? Eat this, meet your guardian angel, talk to your child. And he tells her, she's already been cleansed spiritually, but the toadstool will cleanse her physically, which I'm assuming means she's got the really bad poops.
I'm
assuming that's what happens.
You gotta get in there and clean it all out.
Or she's puking, or maybe both. Maybe it's coming out of both. I don't know. It doesn't sound pleasant.
No,
basically.
It's definitely not.
So, in the ritual room, he's drawn all these circles and symbols all over the floor. and he goes over the ritual with her, like moving from circle to circle. And so she's going to have to like do all this stuff in one circle and like pass that like test, and then go to the next circle and do all the things in that circle and pass that test. She has to go like all the way around the room. And then they're like preparing for the rituals. They're studying occult texts. For some reason, she's shaving all his body hair off.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting, yeah.
Like, I don't know what that has to do with the ritual, but apparently it's something that he needs done.
Yeah, you know?
Maybe he's just making her do it.
Right.
Because she's promised she would do what he told her to.
Yeah, she can just make up whatever and she'll do it. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. He just makes her do it. So for the next 2 days, Sophia has to sit in the first circle and just study a stone.
That's crazy.
While Joseph, as he says, untethers the house from the world. And then they have to do the same thing in 2 other rooms. They have to untether the house from the physical, like our reality.
So can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Or is this coming later? This book that they're using, isn't it some Egyptian text I read that was written thousands of years ago? It actually, the book is supposedly real. Is that,
yes.
is that
So
right?
actually, hold on. I have notes about that.
Of course you do.
Wait, let me see if I can. Wait, let me get to it at the end because
Yeah.
I'll lose my place otherwise.
No, go ahead.
So they have to untether the house from the world. But I do have notes about what that is. It's the Abramelin Operation or something. Abramelin. I'll read it. I'll read it to you. It's really interesting. So then they're like sitting in the kitchen and they're talking about when it will start, and a bird just wham hits the window and leaves a bloody mark, and Joseph says that's a sign that it's begun.
Right.
So now she needs to go through each circle on the floor of the ritual room, and that's going to take weeks. So in the middle of the ritual, they're like doing all this stuff. In the middle of the ritual, she tells him that she doesn't do forgiveness.
Right.
And he tells her, I can work around that, but it'll be hard. So she has to do a blood sacrifice instead. And she has to drink his blood.
Yeah.
Like, not even her own, like his.
That's pretty nasty.
And then this, like, it's weird because that part, like, repeats.
Yeah.
The making her drink his blood. And it's like deja vu, kind of, like, where it's like, I feel like if you experienced that, you'd be like, didn't I just do this?
I'm not sure what the purpose of it was, but that is
I
interesting.
think my guess is that it's part of the untethering of reality. Although, honestly, at this point in the movie, you're watching it, you don't know if any of this is real or not.
Sure.
Like, the way they've done it, you have not seen anything up until this point that would make it seem like this is actually real. That magic is real in this world. So
I always question that in movies.
know.
Did I really see? Was it real? Was it a dream?
Right. Was
I
it
don't
real? Were they just crazy?
Right.
Was
Who
he
knows?
just fucking with her? Like,
Right. I know.
because he makes her do all these things. Is he
Right.
just taking advantage?
Yep. Exactly. And she has to trust him. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's-
exactly. She has to trust him completely.
Right,
Like
right.
that's a lot of autonomy to give up to someone else for that long, especially.
Yeah.
And he's already told her she has to cook all the meals, like she has to do all the work. Like, so could he just be taking advantage of her and
Right,
taking a bunch
exactly.
of her money and then
Yep.
getting her to do shit for him? Like,
I mean, it wouldn't be the first.
maybe.
It wouldn't be the first time someone's done something crazy like that. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
right?
I'm
Like,
sure.
who knows?
Oh yeah.
So later, she's alone in her room and she realizes that her son's toy is gone. She like panics. So that's just like, I don't know, the toy is just a thing that happens. And they're sitting in the kitchen talking again, and they talk about Joseph's work in magic. And like, I think they've already talked about the Gnostic stuff, and like, yeah, they just talk about like the work he's done, like stuff he's done. And then back in the ritual room, they like, there's like, you can hear like a noise from under the floor. And that's when he tells her, something's noticed us, which is like pretty cool, I think. I don't know. I think the way they like draw these little things out into like the bird hit the window, the
Little
repeat of
signs,
the blood
yeah.
sacrifice. Something's
Yeah.
noticed us. It's interesting.
Yep. Yeah.
So then Sophia tells Joseph this disturbing dream she had about her son. And he tells her, it's normal. He's currently having a recurring dream that he owns a moped, and they start laughing.
Right.
Like, because she's been having this like creepy dream about her son and some old woman with it, and like just creepy. And I think I can't remember if it's now that she tells him, but I think she does tell him at one point that her son was killed by Satanists, like kids who were trying to perform a satanic ritual.
I don't even remember.
I think she says that at one point. So that's just kind of like another like weird thing that, I don't know, maybe all this stuff is real.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I don't know. So then he makes her get undressed because they need to do sex magic. But when
Blood
she
Sugar
gets
Sex
undressed,
Magic.
right?
Great album by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
It's a good album.
See,
But
we always
when
try to plug some music in.
we
these
got to bring
episodes.
some music up in here. We've plugged a lot of music this episode
And
so far, I
and
think.
We always will. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So
CD.
no, don't be sorry. It's a good CD. So he makes her get undressed. They're gonna do sex magic, and he makes her like bend over, like with her back facing to him, and then he just like wanks to her naked.
Yep.
And
sure
she
does.
gets really pissed off. And basically, it turns out there was no sex magic. He just wanted to whack off. Like,
He was like, "Yeah, I just had to, do my thing. Like, I'm sorry."
yeah, he just wanted her to get naked so he could
We've been cooped up here
jerk
for a little
one
bit.
out.
And I just had to rub one out real quick, and now we're done.
And I guess he doesn't have to refrain from all sexual,
No, he's the boss. He can do
all
whatever- he can do
forms
whatever
of
he-
sexual pleasure.
He can do whatever he wants. He's the boss.
So he gets pissed, but they keep going. And then like later he's told her that they have to do the whole ritual again.
Right.
And she's like, screw it, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But this is when he tells her, he says, if you go out that door and cross the line, we'll be stuck forever.
Right. Or we don't know what'll happen.
Because now he's untethered the
Mm-hmm.
house from the physical world. So they do the whole damn ritual over again. And now it's winter. But Sophia finds fresh flowers, like just a few little flowers on the hallway floor.
Right. That's right.
So he tells her it's working. And then at one point she's sitting in the circle.
Which is now like the third or fourth time he said it's working, right?
Right, it's working, it's
Yeah.
working. Well, this
I'm
is
just
when we're
making
starting.
things up.
This is when we start to actually see things where you're like, oh, wait, maybe this
Right.
is
The flowers
actually
coming out
real.
of nowhere is definitely
The
yeah,
flowers
that's-
coming out of nowhere. And then the next thing is she's sitting in the circle, in one of the circles, and gold flakes just start
That was pretty
floating
cool.
down onto her. That was
was very-
such a gorgeous shot, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was cool. And if it happened to me in real life, I'd probably be terrified of it, but I'd probably be pretty excited if it happened.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous filming.
Yeah,
but,
that was really cool.
But yeah, so that's pretty like something magical's going on here because
doesn't happen
gold
very
flakes
often.
don't just appear out of the thin air and rain down on you.
It's never happened to me, I can tell you that.
If it happened to me, I would not be sitting here in this office just doing this. Well, I'd probably still be doing the podcast, but I'd be sitting somewhere a hell of a lot nicer.
You'd be probably sitting in a room full of gold.
Yes.
Yep.
Just a room made of gold.
Yes.
Like all the walls,
Everything
the floor,
gold.
everything, all
You
made
could-
of gold. This chair, gold.
All gold. You'd be like, what's his face from
the
Austin
desk,
Powers?
gold.
You'd be like
Everything.
the dude from Austin Powers. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I like
All
gold.
I love gold. That's right.
So okay. So the
Sorry.
flakes of gold float down on her. So the flakes
man.
of gold float down on her. It's beautiful. Next, later on, they're fighting about why it isn't working. And this is when she admits that she's not doing it just to see her son again. She wants vengeance because he was murdered by people doing a ritual.
Now, I'm all for vengeance. But the thing, at this point, if you're a dude, it's like, how much other crap have you lied to me about, and how much
Yeah.
more am I going to keep finding out about you? Like,
Yeah.
this is not going to go well if you keep crap, Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
so Joseph tells her she has to do a purification ritual because she lied. So she has
Always
to do
lying.
this whole purification ritual in the bathtub.
Yeah,
So he makes her get in the bathtub and lay down,
that was weird.
and he dunks her head underwater.
And you know
And-
what's gonna happen, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
What's going to happen? He's going to hold her under until she stops struggling, and
Of
that's what
course.
he does.
of course.
And then he chants something, and he pulls her out of the water, and he does CPR, and she comes back.
Right.
And she freaks out. She yells at him. She starts beating on him.
I'd be
But,
upset if you did that to me or anyone did that to me.
But by
I'd be
this
pretty
time, he's
angry.
gotten her into the kitchen, right? So he's gotten her into the kitchen. She's beating on him, but he's leaning against the counter next to a cooking knife, and it goes
So
right through his abdomen when he falls.
I thought, the first thing I thought was, first of all, when I wasn't sure she was going to live in that scene, but I was trying to think,
Yeah.
where will the story arc go if she doesn't?
If she doesn't, right.
What's going to happen? Right. So I was kind of like, every second I was kind of really into it to see what was going to happen. And the knife part, okay, knives are sharp, and the bigger they are, the stronger and sturdier they are, sure. That seems weird that he would fall on that and that thing would be able to really do that. That would be an odd way to get stabbed by a knife, but whatever. I don't know.
Here's my theory.
Did I miss something maybe?
I don't know if you did or not, but here's my theory. My theory is that he has been fucking up too. He made her let him wank off to her for no reason.
He's making up stuff, I'm sure.
And
as he
I
goes.
think that
Yeah.
he is part of the sacrifice for the ritual.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think that is maybe part of the actual,
Could be.
I think maybe everything is part of the ritual, and that's part of the sacrifice.
Okay.
And that's why it happens.
It just seemed that
it
would.
has to happen.
I feel like if I tried, now I would never do this, but I feel like if I tried to recreate this, I would not end up.
Don't try to recreate
No,
it, please.
and no one who's listening to this, please don't do it either. But I feel like that would not happen. I feel like I would need to fall on. I'm like
it would
I'm dissecting this too deeply. I know, but
no, it does seem like a very unusual way for that to happen.
like if you had a sword laying on the, okay, fine, it's like a heavy giant object, but that knife just seemed. Anyway, the point isn't for that. I'm just wasting our time.
No, but I think
going.
I do. I think it is a very unlikely way to get stabbed in
Yes,
the gut.
I think that's the word I was
And
looking for.
that's why
unlikely.
I think it's unlikely. And
It's
that's why I
unlikely.
think it's got to be part of something like
Okay.
that
Which would make more sense.
and especially as you go on later, I think it might be part of the,
Mm-hmm.
because they've both been not their truest selves with the ritual, it has to be done for the ritual to continue, if that makes sense. She had to do her purification ritual, and this is
Yep. Okay.
his sacrifice. So
Good.
she has to pull the knife out and sew him up.
Because as soon as you pull anything out of a wound like that, it's gonna start opening up on you.
You
so.
got to sew that shit up right away.
Ooh.
So
I feel I feel like sewing things and stitches are worse to me than actually an injury or something. I can't that bothers me. Every time, whenever I've had stitches removed or put in, I can't watch
love
them.
needles going into skin. I don't like needles going into skin.
I can't watch stitches be taken out of my body. The couple times I've had to cover my. I can't look at it. It grosses me out for some reason.
Yeah, I don't like it when any needle going into somebody's skin. Just
yeah.
that moment
I know.
of the
I know.
pushing the
Yep.
dimpling the skin and
I
then
know.
it going popping through. Ugh,
Yep.
yuck. I don't like it.
I know.
I don't like it at all.
It's uncomfortable.
I don't like it.
No.
So yeah, that's not a great
Stitches-
moment.
Stitches are yucky.
So then they're talking and she asks him what he's going to ask for when the guardian angel shows up, because they both get to ask the guardian angel for something. And he tells her he wants invisibility just so that he can get away from the world.
I would like it too, so I could run around like the Invisible Man and do whatever I wanted.
Yeah, see, you wouldn't use it just to go be in a forest somewhere and make everybody leave you alone.
Well, I want everyone to leave me alone and live in a forest. That would be very nice to do. But I would also like to be able to cause mischief and run around as the Invisible Man.
You would do it to run around
cause trouble. Yes.
Yeah, like switch people's drinks while they're like in the bathroom and stuff.
You name it. I would do it. Yes.
So
Because
okay,
there are plenty of ways to be left alone by people without being invisible. I can do
right,
that.
right? Like
I can go
which
move
is funny
to the woods.
I think when he first says he wants invisibility, you think like, oh, what's he gonna do? And then he's just like, I just want to get away from the world, like,
right.
And then you kind of like feel for him.
Yeah, sure. Because obviously,
You know? You're
he's
like,
saying
oh, man, this
he's saying that
guy.
because something is not right. Of course.
Yeah, he wants to like, I don't know, he wants to get out. He stop this thing I want to get off.
It's some way of him. Yeah, right. It means more than just the comment itself.
Yeah. So later, Sophia starts hearing a baby crying.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we see shadows walking through empty rooms, and then the
Right.
power goes out.
Yep.
And so now Joseph is taking painkillers because
Always a
of,
good idea.
the knife wound. And so he's starting to get like foggy. And one night, Sophia hears her son
Mm-hmm.
calling to her through her bedroom door. And so she talks to him, but she won't open the door because she knows it's a trick.
And the kid seems to get like not more violent, but more amped up, like as
really excitable,
agitated almost,
and
yeah.
agitated and acting like something's wrong and it's scared. There's a
right.
dog here. I'm scared of the dog.
Right.
All that stuff. Yeah, it's like getting like really like. It's very anxious making.
Yes,
yeah.
Anxious.
And so when it goes away, Joseph comes out and like she runs to him and he holds her and he says, "It's not your son." And she says, "I know."
Right.
So she knows it's not her son. Like she knows it isn't, and that's why she didn't open the door, even though the son was like making it sound like, or the son's voice rather was making it sound like it really needed her help. So they're not sure when it is anymore. They're like March, May, they don't know. Joseph is getting weaker and weaker, and Sophia is taking care of him, like fully taking care of him at this point.
Well, I mean, what do you expect? You have a knife wound and you don't go get any actual medical care.
Right, because they can't. Well, because
Right,
they can't leave.
What do you expect is going to happen? Right.
Because if it's real, which at this point we're starting to think it is,
so
then they can't leave. There's nowhere they can go.
Can they order pizza?
I feel like they couldn't because they're not tethered to the physical world anymore.
Okay. I just had to ask that. I was wondering.
Also, if the pizza guy came in to the door, he would never be able to come back out.
You could tell. Oh,
he'd have to like frisbee the pizza across the salt line.
No, you could tell him to leave it right by the salt deal. And you could, either way, one person has to cross over at some point.
Right,
so
see, he'd have to, like, frisbee it at you.
Now, that would be awesome. Open the door and be like, come on, toss it in here.
Toss it at me.
See, these are the important things I think about in situations
But
like
see,
this.
you'd have to tape it shut first.
You could do that.
Before you threw it.
I'd be like, dude.
Otherwise, it would just be like, whoop, and flop open, and the pizza would go everywhere, and you'd be really sad.
You would be. I'd be like, dude, there's a $20 tip in it for you if you can hook this up. Tape my pizza shut and throw it into the door for me. I will take care of you.
And then I will make a little paper airplane out of the $20 bill and throw it at you.
See, these are relevant topics we have to have conversations about.
It's very important.
Yep.
So no, I think we've decided that there is no way to get pizza.
No pizza. Okay. All right.
I think we've come to that conclusion.
Okay.
So, Sophia is taking care of Joseph as he's getting weaker, and we see a scene which I think is really kind of sweet. She lays in bed with him,
right?
Like she lays down with him in his bed.
At this point,
cries.
you know he's like a day away from being dead. Also.
Yeah, but like they don't say anything. She's just laying there like next to him, and he's crying, like he's facing away from her, crying.
Mm-hmm.
And when she wakes up in the morning, he's dead.
Yeah, he's done. Yep.
So now she's just. What does she do? She goes to read his books to complete the ritual herself, but they're all blacked out.
Right.
So she's like, well...
I wouldn't even know where to start, though, with that, but...
Right, so she's like, well, shit, like, she doesn't know what to do. So she crosses the chalk line and goes to her car, but it won't start.
Right.
So she walks away the house, she walks down the road. It's all overcast, the wind whips her hair. but after she's walked all day, she's just back at the house.
A la Blair Witch Project. We walked in the same place all day. We're back here again. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
and
That's
then
right.
when she goes back inside the house, things have changed. Like her son's photo is on the floor in a pile of puke, I think.
So I wanted to ask this, though. Speaking of puke, since it reminds me of it, what happened to... Did we talk about the drinking the pee? We didn't talk about that, did we? Peeing in the cup and then putting it into the soup? Didn't she do that?
Did she do that? I forgot about that.
She wanted to get back at him for the toadstool, I think. Wasn't that it? And so she peed in the cup.
She peed in the soup.
Well, she peed in a cup, and then she poured it in the soup and gave it to her.
I forgot about that. Oh, my God. Yeah, that was way earlier. But yes, he drinks her pee.
I was biding my time to see if he would get to that.
But that seems like a kind of magical exchange, too, right? That they've now ingested each other's bodily fluids. Like, it ties them to each other in a very intimate way.
Wasn't that the witch cake back in the 1600s? When they have someone would pee or put blood in a cake or something, and then you'd feed it to a dog, and if the dog died,
so
how did that work?
And then remember in Midsummer,
yeah,
there's the girl who puts her
and
pubes and her in the cake and her menstrual blood in the
pubic hair lemonade or whatever, wasn't it?
No, the pubic hair in the cake and menstrual blood in the lemonade.
Yes.
So everybody's lemonade is yellow and his is pink.
Time of the month lemonade.
Throwback to Midsummer. I love it.
You can watch it in like 2 months when it's Midsummer.
I mean, I can watch it at any moment, really.
Well, I mean, yes, but I'm talking about May Day. That's what it reminds me of. And I was trying to think if I was watching the video the other day again for the safety dance. Mm-hmm. Great song.
Oh yeah. Another great song.
Yes, that video reminds me of that movie. Like, I don't know, when I watch that video, I think of that movie. So anyone out there who knows what I'm talking about, I don't know. Maybe I'm alone on that one, but sorry.
Yeah, let us know if you watch that video and think of Midsummer, because I'm curious who else's brain works that way.
I don't know.
Besides Matt's.
Maybe it's just me.
Okay, so back to this movie.
So we're done with the pee in the soup. All right.
We're done with the pee in the soup. The soup that happened a while ago. So she her son's photo is on the floor in like a pile of what I guess is puke. And Joseph lays there in the hallway. Now remember, the last time we saw Joseph, he was in the bed.
Exactly. So
he died in the bed. So he's laying there in the hallway now.
Here?
And as she watches, something drags him slowly
wasn't that cool?
into another room. And
it's that
is when I say, oh, there are definitely some demons in this house.
Oh, damn. That was kind of like that, Nightmare on Elm Street, when her friend is dead in the body bag in the high school, and then she gets dragged out of the scene. Remember that? That was great.
Remember, I'm waiting to watch it until we review it.
No Nightmare for you. Okay, all right.
I've never seen Nightmare. I won't see it until we review it. I want to be fresh.
Continue.
I want to be fresh.
All right. Well, I wasn't ruining anything.
I'm withholding Nightmare on Elm Street for myself the way Sophia withheld all forms of sex from herself.
You are. It's ritualistic.
I am ritualistically purifying myself in order to more fully experience my first viewing.
You can stop. I mean, that's awfully deep just for Nightmare on Elm Street. But
very excited.
Freddy Krueger would appreciate that.
We have to do it before too long, because I'm very excited about watching it.
I would love to.
So anyways, okay, so she goes and she hides in her bedroom, and she hears her son's voice on the other side of the door again, and she talks to him some more, but she still won't let him in. Mm-hmm. And I love this part. She says to him, I'm going to get your killers. And the little boy voice says, they're not my killers. I'm just something using your son's voice to make you afraid. Mm-hmm. And she says, I know. And I think
she seems to know all this, but yeah.
But I think that's such a beautiful moment that she keeps talking to the voice because she so misses her son that even that is like the closest she can get, and it's something for her. And she somehow touches this demon enough that it admits that it's just a demon and lying to her.
Right, which is, I mean, demons play tricks and they lie, and that's what they're all about.
but admitting it is not a demonic thing to do. Like,
No.
they don't do that.
So you have to wonder if that's even true. Right. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. But so then, oh my God, you guys, the demons get her.
Oh my God.
And there's a dog.
Yes.
And they cut one of her fingers off.
They sure do.
And then she breaks free and she runs away.
She does.
And the demons, like, as they
And
are...
this is all in the basement of the house, right? Where this is happening,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then, because they've dragged her down to the basement. And, like, as they almost get her again, but this bright light shines out, and she goes towards it, and the light is coming from her ritual room. And you guys, oh my God, you guys, this part, okay? This part, her freaking guardian angel is there, and it is the coolest looking thing ever.
He's like a straight up, like,
Tell
Roman
me
soldier
he
or
is
something.
not amazing looking. He's huge. He crouches down. He barely fits in the room. And he speaks to her. And it's just this deep bass vibration
Right. It's pretty cool.
that you can't understand. It's so good. Oh,
Yeah, it was very
I love
cool.
it. It's so good. And so it speaks to her. And she answers. She says, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The favor I want is, I want the power to forgive."
Yep, there you go.
As we see her pushing a small wrapped body, or maybe a person-sized wrapped body, I'm not sure yet, out into the river.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I don't know if it's her dead kid and she's lied about killing him the whole time.
I think it's the dude.
Or you think it's Joseph. I think it might. I think it's probably Joseph.
That was my first inclining. I honestly, I don't even think I thought about the kid till you just mentioned it now, really. So
I thought it at first, but then I was like, no, I think it's Joseph. So I think
I think so.
she says, "I want the power to forgive," and she pushes the body out into the river, and then she drives off into the world, and that's the end of the movie.
Just really crazy, and she like did kill her. Okay, did you remember?
Well, I think it works better if she didn't kill her kid, and I'll get to why in a minute.
You've seen God bless, I can't remember the name. Why am I blanking on this now? You've seen Shutter Island, right?
Yep.
Remember the scene DiCaprio and what's her face drowning the kids?
Yeah.
But not even knowing what's happening because they're so whacked out.
Mm-hmm.
Is it one of those kind of situation? I kind of feel like it was that kind of situation, maybe, but I think we're going too far. Maybe
I think it's Joseph. I think it's her cleaning up
after
the ritual.
Because
then she drives away into the world.
Mm-hmm, right, and
that's
it.
Okay, so let's get to the ritual.
Yes.
Before we talk about what we think about this, let me explain the ritual because I found it. I found a little bit on IMDb, and then I went and I looked up a little bit more. So the ritual performed in the movie is called the Abramelin, if I'm saying it right, Operation.
And this is the Egyptian thing I mentioned earlier. I asked about, right?
Yeah, I think it is. So
it's like
it
an
was
Egyptian text or something.
No, it was an occult rite attempted by Gnostics like Aleister Crowley.
Oh,
so I don't think it was actually
We
Egyptian.
should talk about him one day.
I don't think it was actually Egyptian. I think he may have tarted it up like that, but I don't think it's actually Egyptian.
That's all I knew about it,
So I think Aleister Crowley did stuff like this, and he's, for those who don't know, he's an English occultist, ceremonial magician, and like an artist. Like he was a very artistic guy. He was a poet and a painter and stuff.
Read about him, and if you really want to have some fun, if you want to watch Sesame Street, you can watch Aleister Cookie. But that's for another.
That's a whole other thing.
Well, Cookie Monster plays him, and it's a hilarious skit.
That's pretty good.
Please look it up. But yeah, Aleister Crowley's he was a very interesting person. Yes.
Yeah, he's really.
Didn't he go into the pyramids and like sleep in one of like the coffins or something once, like inside one of like the Egyptian
I don't
pyramids?
know. Maybe.
I think he did. Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, he
totally wouldn't put it past him.
Interesting dude.
So the ritual, the Abramelin Operation, is meant to obtain the knowledge and conversation of the ritualist's guardian angel. So that's what she did, right? She talks to her guardian angel at the end.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But in the actual rite, there's more after that. The magician has to like evoke the 12 kings and dukes of hell, like Lucifer and Satan and Leviathan and Belial and all them.
All those good people.
And then bind them. to gain command of them in the magician's own mental universe and remove their negative influence from his or her life.
Okay.
So, and there's like familiars and talismans involved. It's like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing, and it can take something like 18 months. So yeah, that's the ritual. Like it is based on a real ritual, and it's like some insane stuff that you have to do.
That's and that stuff is bordering into, you know, what happens in Hereditary in a way, I feel like.
I can see
you know,
that.
These ritualistic things and these demons and these gates and these different demons that serve Satan that are below him. Yeah. That's kind of what it reminds me of when we start talking about stuff like that.
I'm not sure which movie came out first. I think this might have.
This did. This was 2016. I think this was first.
Okay, I thought so. So anyways, the other thing that I thought was interesting about the movie, the whole thing was shot in 20 days, which is fairly quick.
That's pretty quick, and I don't want to say it shows it, but I mean, there wasn't a huge budget for this movie. Well, I don't think.
No, I think most of it went into that guardian angel scene.
I would think so. Yeah.
Like that had to have cost some major bucks to make look right.
Of course.
And I think it helps that it's all in that house pretty much, that like you only have a few rooms that the scenes are in, so you can very quickly go from place to place to like
easy.
And you can leave one room set up as it needs to be while you're shooting in the hallway, or have somebody setting up in the kitchen while you're shooting in the ritual room and stuff like that. Like, I think it seems like you could be very efficient with your time that way.
I would think so. And that was probably the idea, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what did you think? I'm really dying to hear what you thought about the film.
I liked it. So I didn't love it. I didn't think it was amazing. I mean, I thought it was a good movie. So okay, I'm not a religious person, but I am very interested in occult and paganism and witchcraft and things like that. I don't practice any of them. I doubt I ever would, but I find them interesting, and I like to read about them. I like to learn about them, and I'm like voodoo. I would love to go see an actual voodoo ceremony one day. I would love to watch that happen. I would love to watch this stuff. And the fact that they actually went and made a whole movie dedicated to actually how this happens is, you know, it's confusing, yes, because this, like you mentioned, there's so much involved in this stuff. This stuff is confusing. And I'm not sure anyone really understands this stuff. Look, religion is mysticism. It's the mystery of faith, they say, right? Mm-hmm. There's no answer for this stuff. It's not like, okay, you know, this is how you build a fence. You put this in the ground and you attack, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so much, it's open to whatever. But seeing how it's done, and you know, the water falling on her, or whatever, and she's like in that space for X amount of time, and just, you know, the fact that you could dedicate a year of your life to a ritual for something is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But it's so fascinating. I really love that there is a film that talks about this and actually goes through it. I think it's fairly accurate. I don't know what I had to base that on, because I don't know that I've ever really seen one done. It's like an exorcism. They're real, but, you know, do people levitate and fly in the air when they happen? I don't think so, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So for that reason, very cool. Like that a lot. Characters were good. They're very flawed people, clearly, which I think is always, you know, one's not better than the other.
I have feelings about the flaw, or her flaws particularly.
And I like that. And we're not sure, like you meant. I never thought about the fact that, you know, she was, you know, her sister's son. Did you mention she were in a mental hospital, whatever? This woman might just be completely crazy out of her mind and murder her kid, like you said. Maybe I don't even know. But that's a good thought. I never thought about that until now. But I don't know. There's kind of some left at the end. Like, did the actual ritual finish? Was that the way it was supposed to end? Did it just happen because she got that?
Well, and here's the other question. She crossed the salt. Did she ever get back out into the real world again?
Right. And that's what I mean. Like, there's so much there's no cut and dry, like, yes or no stuff with this. So, again, to be able to see that is, very cool. I'd love to watch something like this in real life and attend one of these, something like that. Well, not for 8 months, obviously, but to see something
a shorter
like,
one, a condensed version.
Yes, because they always talk about. I mean, I would love to shoot a piece too, that does a ceremony like that.
Yeah.
Because you have all
Well,
these.
this is also very different than like this is very ceremonial stuff. It's much more like Rosicrucian and things like that. It's not like pagans, Wiccans don't do stuff quite like this. Like it's much more, for lack of a better word, earthy.
Yeah.
When pagans do rituals, it's not as like all the they don't have all the like pomp and circumstance, I think, that ceremonial magicians do. I mean, ceremony, they don't have the same kind of ceremonial.
I find it kind of interesting too that if you attend like a Baptist or I'm just trying to name off just common religions, or like a Pentecostal or a Catholic, you can like do all these things in like an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be able to invoke all these things. It's pretty neat and tidy. Whereas this something here, it takes 8 months to do. Like it's just that interesting back and forth of how we can condense all this stuff into an hour for patrons, but something else takes all your effort and all your life force to give to this.
Right.
I think that's kind of interesting.
So I have very strong feelings about this movie. In case you couldn't tell, I absolutely adore it.
That's awesome.
It's one of my favorite movies. I think it's completely beautiful. And this time watching it,
and it's definitely no giant big Hollywood production. I mean, it is not.
No, not at all.
Studio film.
It's a small film, and it's very well done.
Because I feel like those kind of movies wouldn't work. I feel like big budgets wouldn't help. Wouldn't work in a movie like it wouldn't get the feel that it has.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get deep and a little bit real for a minute. This movie, watching it again for this, really hit me because, as you know, Matt, but our listeners do not know, one of my very best friends just passed away, and I have felt a lot of guilt around her death. Around, did I reach out to her enough during the pandemic? Was I a good enough friend? Sure. Why didn't she tell me that she was dying of cancer? Like, would she have told me if I had reached out to her more often? Like, was I a bad friend? And so I feel Sophia in that very much. I think this movie is very much about her guilt over her son's death.
Sure.
Her inability to forgive herself for it. I think that's why she ends up asking for forgiveness in the end. Yeah. Even if it's not her fault, she can't let it go, and she can't forgive herself for her son dying. And I think it's also about the punishments that we seek out kind of when we feel that kind of guilt. Like, look at the things she let him do to her. And it's all because she felt so deeply sad and so guilty over her son's loss. And I think this is an example of what horror movies can be and can do, that they can take you to this scary, very anxiety-driven place and make you come out with a different understanding of the world, of the people around you, of yourself. Like, it's, to me, like, this is one of those movies that, watching it this second time, it kind of transformed me a little bit. Like, it made me realize, like, maybe I don't need to hold on to this guilt. Maybe I can just be sad that my friend is gone and not feel guilty and not worry about, was I the perfect friend, and not feel bad like I don't deserve people's sympathy for missing her. Like,
yeah.
Maybe I can just let go of that burden. And I think that's what she had to learn in this movie, which is part of why, as I was saying earlier, I would get to why I thought that his getting stabbed might be kind of I think that was kind of part of the ritual, that he died also so that she could have this moment. And I also kind of think him dying in a way was him getting what he was asking for. He left the world. He became invisible.
Yeah, okay.
He disappeared from the world.
That's what he said he wanted to do, right?
Yeah, so I think I don't know. I feel a lot about this movie. Makes me feel a lot of things. I really, and even though we've gone through the whole thing, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it. I think it's just a really good example of like a really like small budget, but a lot of creativity.
Just because you don't have money doesn't mean you can't make a good movie.
Yeah, and it's scary.
But everyone knows that by now.
It's scary. It's fucked up, and it's empathetic.
Mm-hmm,
and
totally.
That's a lot to ask of a movie. Like,
well, that's what. Yeah, I mean, it can't just be about effects or things blowing up or monsters. I mean, yeah, what's the people? What are they? Why do we invest? Why am I investing an hour and a half or 2 hours of my time?
Exactly.
Why do I want to pay attention
I think this movie, it validates that time spent.
Sure.
It gives you something for it.
You know what? I love to hear you say, that it has a profound, because that's something for me that you understand. We have the same understanding of that, and I think a lot of people do too. But there are movies that, I mean, we've sat here and I've gushed over Halloween.
Yeah,
there are movies that, like, I mean, I've said and I've written about it too. They become part of my DNA over time, and I can't, unless you love this stuff, I can't explain it to people.
Right.
And I know all these lines I have memorized, and people are like, how do you know this stuff? Why do you remember these things? But yeah, because that's like here's the thing. Film is art. Like, people think art is like a painting in a museum.
Yeah.
Art is a painting. Art is music. Art is film.
Yep.
Those are all art. So I love art. Like, and someone had to tell me this once a long time to get this. Was when I was a kid, I drew and I painted and I did all that stuff before I ever had a camera in my hand. But then I had a camera in my hand, and I've had one since. And someone had to tell me one day, like, you know what? You are, you may have thought you were an artist at a time, but you are still. You just don't use you don't use a paintbrush or a pencil anymore. You have it with this. And that kind of turned me on, made my brain click to that. So yeah, you love it. This is a piece of art for you, and you love it.
And I think a lot of people not only like don't necessarily think of movies as art, but a lot of people specifically don't think of horror movies as art.
And that's fine. The Academy Awards certainly don't.
Yeah, but they absolutely can be and are.
Of course they are. It's a film, and that's what I mean. It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't have to be about a genre. It doesn't matter.
Right. Maybe not all of them are like. Maybe you watch a silly slasher flick and it's not like high art, right?
Yeah, like
so to speak, but it's
Leprechaun
still art.
3, not high art, right?
But it's still art because somebody was saying something. Somebody was putting something out there for you to watch and interpret. Look at all of the stuff that I interpreted from this movie and that you interpreted differently from this movie. That to me proves that it's art.
And sometimes, I mean, I tell people this all the time. Movies are a lot of time are not even about the subject that's in the movie. They're about something else. Yeah, and they're just that's your vessel to kind of tell that story. Whereas George Romero always say, yeah, it's a movie about zombies, but what he's most afraid of was the neighbors next door and who the other people are. Mm-hmm. That was his kind of just vessel for it, So anyway, yeah. And then what you make a point about, did you check in enough on this person, or did you say hello to this person enough? That's that classic kind of question of, you look at society, maybe so much more, maybe American society, I don't know. And you say to somebody, hey, how are you? Well, do you really want to know how the person is, or are you just using the casual greeting that we've been taught over time to say? Yeah. Like, do you actually want to know how the person is? Do you actually care, or are you just saying it as a greeting? Hi, how are you? Like, And when people ask me that, I try to give the right answer. I try to say, I'm great if I am, or I'm okay. You know what I mean? Like, think about... Yeah. So... But that's like, and I wonder, you talk about guilt. You always heard about these deals with these, like, people have like these plane crashes and like 2 people survive.
Survivor's guilt.
Oh, and these folks are like, their lives are wrecked from survivor guilt. They like can't handle it.
That's part of what I think is so great about
but
this
movie.
But
that's not what we're talking about, but I don't know.
But it's dealing with such a I feel like you could watch this movie as a person who has dealt with this kind of guilt, this kind of the survivor's guilt or the guilt over the death of a close friend or family member who you maybe feel like you could have done more for or something. Sure. And this movie tells you,
are you going to go shitless stomach here? And
no,
if I could have sold this one thing.
No, sorry, I'm doing the hands. Right. It tells you you're not alone in that.
Yeah,
like that is an element of the human condition.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I said, that's part of what makes this movie beautiful to me.
Yeah.
And
they knew that, and that was maybe one of the responses or reactions they wanted is what you took from it. So, and yeah, you made a great point. It's awesome to see how two different people view it. And if you had a conversation with 6 different people, you'd probably get 6 different, That's what's so cool.
Well, that's why I love talking about this stuff with you, because I think we both share the love, but we both have kind of different points of view. So we come at it from different angles. And I feel like I always come out with something from like what you've said. I'm always like, oh, yeah, okay, all right. Like, yeah, that's why we do this, right?
It's to have conversations, and it's about, people's input on things, and we
not to have the little like mutual admiration society, but that's why we do this, because we like to talk about these movies and hear the differing opinions.
And one of us needs to hate something, and one of us needs to love it, and that's kind of the way it's supposed to be. And it needs to be. There's not a problem with that. Conflicting is good because that shows you where you look and how the spectrum is of how could one person think this is so amazing and one person think it's a piece of trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And now we're talking about Children of the Corn.
You know what? There you go. I mean, great short story by Stephen King that I love. I don't know if you ever read the short story. You actually probably would enjoy that.
I don't think I have yet, no.
I would give that a read. And then a movie that, again, I don't love it, but, it's a kind of a cultural horror thing for me. I've met a few of the people, and I kind of grew up with it, and I like it. It's kind of a scary story. And whereas your side of it is like, how is this even possibly released in a theater?
We're like, this is dumb.
Like, what is this? Yeah, right. Exactly. But that's fun. That's what I like. Yep. Because that happens too, in like businesses and workplaces where you get too much of, everyone's on the same side and, butt kissing, and have a difference of opinion. Like, that's okay. Think on your own about it.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to encourage you all out there, all our 5 listeners, to have your own opinions about movies. Yes. Don't let anyone stop you from having your own opinion about a movie.
By the way,
not even me or Matt.
No,
maybe me and Matt.
Don't let me influence you at all, but have your own opinion about your life in general, not just movies.
Well, yeah, that's true too.
Think for yourself.
We love you, and we trust you to make good decisions.
Yes, we hope. Wow,
I just got really
after school special.
Really hallmarky there.
Yeah, that was great.
So
yeah, overall though, no, I mean not bad. Yeah, good movie. Check it out. Like I said, very cool to see like a movie that talks about an actual ritual of something. And
definitely worth a watch. It's a really interesting movie.
Yeah.
So next episode.
What are we doing?
Do you know what we're doing? We're doing
a scary movie? Are we talking about a scary movie next time?
We're talking about a scary movie. What else?
Oh, I love those.
Oh, they're so good. We are doing, guys, the one, the only Alien.
Can I waste the tagline on it right now, even though I usually do it at the beginning? Can I just say it because I really want to
do
say
it?
In space, no one can hear you scream.
Ah! Yeah. Nobody heard that.
No, but they weren't in space.
Oh, wait, we weren't in space. Damn.
No, sorry.
So you all did hear that. Okay.
I have a question about space real quick.
Uh-oh.
And maybe I've asked you this before. Maybe I was asking to somebody the other day.
Oh, no.
Is there time in space? Like, if it's like 8 o'clock p.m. right here on the East Coast where we are, whatever, is there like an actual time? Like, do astronauts look at their watch and go, oh, it's 3:30?
I have an answer for you.
I know this makes no sense.
No, but I have an answer for you.
We're talking about a movie that takes place in space, so
time is a human construct.
It's not real, right?
So time, time, that means it travels with you.
Oh, well, if I go to
where
space, it comes with me.
Where humans are, there is time because humans have created time. That's my answer.
Okay, so
that's my final answer.
What the heck time zone is space?
GMT.
Wow. UTC. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. UTC.
Okay. Well,
I was going with Greenwich Mean Time, but UTC.
that works
there
too.
you go.
All right, so we'll challenge what time it is in space next week when we talk about a movie that happens in space.
When we talk about Alien, actually we have a special guest joining us for that.
All right.
We have the lovely Brianne Haddocks of the Today's Lucky Winner podcast. So that'll be fun. We'll have Brianne on, and she loves the movie, so it should be really fun to talk with her about
see
it.
if she can tolerate our lunacy for an
See
hour.
if she can handle our ridiculousness. So, guys, I want to remind you, as we're coming to the end of the episode, please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and rate and review us on iTunes or wherever the heck you're listening so that people can find us like you did. You lucky people, you.
You like us. You really like us. Right?
Yeah. Hopefully you like us, and hopefully you are glad you found us. And if you are, we would love for you to subscribe, rate and review, share it with your friends, let them know about it. And to send us your movie suggestions and your thoughts on the movies we've already watched at thescarymovieproject@gmail.com. And you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Scary Movie Project. Peace.
Reading is fundamental.
The Scary Movie Project podcast is produced by Tara Garwood and Matt Lolich. Learn more at thescarymovieproject.com.